Hey everybody, it's Crane After for the Wednesday, August 7th program, and if you were just listening, we were talking with Steve Malanga from the Manhattan Institute, who is telling us about a very distressing situation of pension funds around the country in counties and cities and municipalities that are underfunded. And a wonderful piece he wrote today in the City Journal, which is entitled The Indebted States of America. What shocked me most about this was the state of Texas. Yeah, I didn't think we'd see this problem there, but in certain localities you do have it, and it's a must read. Check it out. It does talk about and discuss what brought this about, which is the power of unions and electing their boss, in essence, making promises that maybe can keep for that generation or that time in office, but it can not continue because it's based on some very rosy expectations. And we're seeing this more and more. I think we see it on a national level, certainly with Social Security, and I'm just talking about how things are funded, not the specifics of the funding and the pension crisis that we see, but how Social Security is funded is, well, there's no lockbox, and pretty much what you're seeing is it was a slush fund, and now we're seeing that it has to actually borrow from the Treasury to pay off the current retirees, and demographically it cannot continue. It's a Ponzi scheme, and for lack of a better term, I think it goes with the underlying premise that government can somehow defy the laws of basic economics, and it can't. Even if it does and is able to print money, there's a consequence for that: inflation and much higher interest rates. So those are some of the things that we have been talking about. We talked to Buzz Jacobs, and that was an interview that I'd like to get a little more with Buzz, because more to talk about certainly with Benghazi 9/11. And in the first hour, we talked to Dan the Man Celia, and that is always a pleasure. It really makes my job easy. Dan is a wonderful communicator about something that we all have questions about and concerns, and that would be finances, financial issues. Dan Celia on AFR Talk. I took some time to break down what President Obama is doing presently and how he's responding totally in a bubble, and it really shows you where his focus is and how he doesn't let the facts get in the way of his policy or his outlook. And it's most interesting to me to see this as things are not going smoothly. No, we're in big trouble, and we see the record, not the promises. The left can always make promises, and it's not a shot at the left, it's just reality. They can always say, I can do it better. They can speak to the power of government and how they can make things easier for us. They can help us, those in need. They can help us get into the middle class. And if we're in the middle class, we can stay there. We don't have to be pushed out or pushed down. Yet the consequences of their policies are just that. And it is the fact that they put their faith in government to the point of not saying, hey, I have faith in the United States government to do the right thing because people are going to be held accountable for what they do. No, they put faith in government as one would put faith in God. It is strange. I mean, think about our entitlement programs with Medicare, Social Security, and Medicaid, and you see this, and people realize there's no way this can continue. They need to be drastically reformed. And by the way, no lockbox. Medicare goes broke in 2024. It's less than 12 years. And yet, like idols, like worshiping idols, we are sitting there going, okay, well, we're going to embrace, or in this case, re-elect, and someone who is adding to the problem and playing politics with it in the short term, not addressing the long-term concerns. And the people that do address the long-term concerns will accuse them, and the people who are not giving you the rest of the story do this, say Granny, they're killing Granny. They want to, all they care about is they're mean. They're mean because they want to cut benefits, and in essence, they lie about the reform. And they say things to scare people who are in their most vulnerable states, in the sense of they're out of their working years, and it's going to be tough for them to go back to work and generate income. They're relying on this. They've paid in, and yes, you pay out more than you pay in. On average, about $100,000 if we add up the entitlement programs as they are. But bottom line, you've paid in, and every time somebody says, look, this doesn't impact people about to go into the program or the people currently in the program, but they say it anyway. And yet they fail to understand that if we don't reform, everybody is out. Everybody's done. And so not only the people that are going in and going to be receiving benefits, but the generation that is going to have to pay that in the way of taxes. So really bizarre, but it is a sort of cult worship of government. And this is why we recognize that our rights come from God. They are protected by the government, ostensibly, and what our founders understood with limiting government. They certainly understood that if a state were to behave like this, if they were to get in such debt and make promises, that it would result in inevitably having to raise taxes and cut benefits, and people could say, you know what, I don't want to live there, and they go, and the state feels the consequence of those actions. But in this case, when the federal government is doing it, and one of the many reasons our founders understood the nature of man and people acting in their own self-interest and voting pieces of the treasury to a constituency, our federal government can print money and it can play the game, but that crashes too. And that's what we're really getting to. How that ends. What is the result? And I hope and I pray that people start to embrace true reformers who are providing solutions. Politics, it's not always good to provide solutions because your opponent can lie about that solution, demonize one part of that, take it out of context, and just make mincemeat out of you. But that hurts everybody. And sooner or later, crisis yields truth. It yields a solution. Otherwise, you stay in the crisis. All right. Well, have a good night. Went a little overboard over time, but I look forward to catching up with you all later. Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth. Please like the page, Facebook page, and check out the website, nothingbuttruth.com. We'll see you. Live with honor in your life, compassion in your heart, and always keep the faith. Thanks.